Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where the end of this mission is in sight. Obviously the game is paused right now. I've already run a simulation of our landing here, just to make sure that I know A, how we're going to go, and B, approximately where we're going to land. It looks like we're going to land in Midlands if we do this right now, so this is good. As you can see, I've already warped around a little bit, and we're just going to commence a burn here, pulling this down to actually 75 kilometers or so. About there. That'll do. Now we jettison our engine. It is no longer necessary, and we inflate our heat shields. Beautiful. We're also going to retract this solar panel. For the time being, we need to not have it. Fantastic. So we'll get all of our heat shields inflated, and we'll just warp on in. This is going to take multiple aero brake passes to bring our apoapsis down enough, but that's fine. So in we go, at long last. Okay, we'll flip around to retrograde here. We are in the atmosphere, as we can see, and this will start to drop our apoapsis height. Cool. So we'll park here at retrograde. And time to periapsis is not very long. We will exit the atmosphere. This required, in my testing, 3 aerobraking passes. I never had any of these telescoping hydraulic cylinders burn off. The gauges appear, and they're a little scary, but they don't appear to actually be going to have a problem. Unless I overshot the periapsis, in which case, yikes. But I don't think I did. We're at the periapsis as of now. And now we're going up, with our speed decreasing. So we shouldn't have any problem with that. This should be the scariest approach at this point. And we can hop out here and see our apoapsis steadily shrinking. Fantastic. But we are going to exit the atmosphere here. That is a guarantee. It's going to happen multiple times, but like I said, it sure looks like we're going to come down over like Midlands, which is kind of ideal. That's basically exactly where we want to land. This was only one orbit around, by the way. So the previous save, we were like here. I warped to the apoapsis and tested it once. That's all I did. So great. That's absolutely fine. We're going to be exiting the atmosphere here momentarily. We're continuing to slow down as long as we are in this atmosphere. But we will be exiting it here in about 4 kilometers. 2 kilometers. 1 kilometer. And we're out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to extend one of these solar panels just in case we can actually charge up our battery. Not that I think we need it, but we'll then just warp this around to like the apoapsis here. Yeah, we're blocked by Eve right now. That's to be expected. And do we have any flow right now? No power flow at the moment. Okay. We don't necessarily need to get this electric charge in, but it would be nice. So let's go ahead and bring this around. I suppose we could try parking retrograde and seeing if that gets us anything. Actually, we did get a little bit of power there. Cool. Out of curiosity, this one would be better now, wouldn't it? So go ahead and extend that one. That should fill us on up. Beautiful. So that looks great. We are full-ish. Full adjacent. Interesting that this has these, like, delays here before it then charges up again. I don't know, that's kind of weird. We'll retract this solar panel now that we're fully charged, and we're just going to warp around to about here. Excellent. We are, of course, going to repark retrograde before we enter the atmosphere, ideally. And there's only so much warping speed that we can actually do. We're fairly limited at that by the game at this point, but that's okay. So we'll bring this on in. Okay, We're not in the atmosphere here yet, but let's get aligned for it. We can actually grab our in-space nears as well. Let's have Gilbus EVA real quick to grab that EVA report. There we go. And let's grab our crew report, temperature scan, mystery goo observation, atmospheric pressure scan, gravity scan, magnetometer report, and material study. Okay. We're not going to get any in-flight science, I don't think, but that's okay. We don't actually care about it. And we did actually get atmospheric entry on Eve, so that's 300,000. That's a lot. Cool. We could actually get another EVA report here. We're very close to the atmosphere. I'm not going to. We'll just park retrograde. Cool. We've got more than enough science, right? Science is not our major concern. The magnetometer boom should definitely be retracted. Get back in. Fantastic. There we go. Okay, we don't want that extended. We can grab our crew report here for flying high and our atmospheric analysis, but that needs to be unstowed. Got it. Okay, fantastic. So that's all good. Now we could process some of this stuff in the lab, like the magnetometer boom, theoretically. But we can't actually put it in the lab. Is the lab currently full? Science lab, science lab, science lab. Here we go. No, it's because we don't have any crew in there. Okay, noted. So this should be less scary this time as far as the telescoping hydraulic cylinders burning off go. Now, those burning off would be catastrophic here. That would be a catastrophic failure. So that would be potentially problematic. But based on my previous testing, it should not end up happening. We're basically at the periapsis here again. And we've dropped our apoapsis height down quite a lot. In fact, our orbital speed, we've almost shed off a kilometer per second. I'm going to switch us over to surface velocity here. Cool. And yeah, we're almost down below 1,000 kilometers for our apoapsis height. That's a really, really good sign. We've managed to shed quite a lot of speed already. But like I said, it is going to require at least one more aerobraking. And actually, I think it was 4 total aerobrakes. Because the last one, we were at like 300 kilometers apoapsis. I don't think we quite get there this time. Do we? No, we don't. Well, we'll see. We're going back up. And hopefully, I didn't change our periapsis so much that we land in a sea. I didn't notice in the test run, I didn't notice any sea near where we were going to land. So in theory, it should be okay, largely no matter what. But we're going to exit the atmosphere here again, and we're going to do another aerobrake pass. This is all fully expected. Once again, I'm going to recharge our batteries on the way around. Okay, so we're going to hop up over to the apoapsis right now. And as long as we're up here, I do want to reposition Gilbus so that we can grab some of our science and put it in this lab. So, let's do that real quick. Let's have... Gilbus, are you currently in here? Yes. We'll go ahead and transfer you into the mobile processing lab. There we go. And we are then going to grab our magnetometer report. We'll review that data, and we'll process that in the lab. That's 394 data right there. How much can the lab actually hold? 750? Not a lot is the answer. Okay, we'll open up our service bay and hope that we can see inside. There we go. Let's go ahead and grab our... I think our atmospheric spectrovariometer is probably the one to go for. That's a battery there. There we go, this guy. We'll review that. We'll put that in the lab. And then if we can, we'll also take... I'm not going to do any of these resettable experiments, but we can definitely put like the thermometer in the lab if we've got the space. Yes. The barometer? I wanted to review the data. Okay. How are we doing on data space in the lab? We've got about another 20 space. It's not a lot. I think we'll call that good for now. Excellent. Let's go ahead and close up our service bay, which actually is already closed. Perfect. And let's extend out this solar panel in order to recharge our batteries quick. We're not going to run out of power, but this just guarantees it. Excellent. So we'll get that filled on up. Apparently that's blocked by heat shield right now. Okay, there we go. That does the trick. Beautiful. So we'll fill that on up. Using a couple hundred electric charge per pass is no big deal. We'll retract that solar panel and flip around to prograde now. Cool. Once we're at prograde, this is functionally retrograde once we get around over there. I don't think we're quite going to get all the way over, but we're going to warp to about here and lock to retrograde once we get there. Cool. So we can grab a new temperature scan. We can grab an atmospheric pressure scan if we open this, and a new magnetometer report. Cool. Which we will go ahead and do. And the magnetometer will, of course, need to be retracted. There we go. And let's head on in. So we've got another aerobrake pass here. There may be one more. There's definitely not going to be more than one after this. Lots of aerobrake passes, but we came in at a pretty elliptical orbit. And this is reasonably fine. We're getting our surface velocity down quite a lot. I do expect that we're going to reach this periapsis and come back up again, but that should be the final aerobrake pass. Cool. Yeah, we're not going to dip too much deeper into this atmosphere. We can see here we are bleeding speed. So that's absolutely great. We're about 40 seconds to periapsis. I would physics warp some of this, but in my testing, this has a tendency to go a bit crazy when we physics warp it. Like, the heat shields start really spinning. I don't like it. So we're not going to do that. That does mean this will take a little bit longer, but that's not the end of the world. Did we not get our atmospheric analysis? Maybe we didn't. Keep that. And reclose the service bay. Oh, it's still showing up as empty. Weird. At any rate, we are at the periapsis now. And we are coming back up. Yep, this looks like this is basically the same trajectory we were on in my test run. Fantastic. That looks good. We can see here we're currently over peaks, which we don't necessarily want to land in peaks. But it'll be fine. We're going to exit the atmosphere one final time here. Seeing heat gauges on this approach is slightly surprising, considering we're going up right now and decelerating. But it's okay. It's okay. So the next time, we should be entering the atmosphere around this terminator, if this is at all similar to the previous trajectory. To the simulated trajectory, I guess I should say. Cool. Yeah, this is definitely looking very broadly similar. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same. We see that there's shallows over here, and then the Explodium Sea. But it should be okay, based on the previous test. Then back into shallows. I didn't do anything substantially different here. So it should be Midlands that we land in theory. Or very close to them. Cool. So this is definitely a little bit higher right now, but we haven't exited the atmosphere just yet. Slightly higher on the apoapsis height than the previous run, which is interesting because I actually overshot the periapsis a little bit here. I would have expected this to be slightly lower. Huh. Well, let's take this on around. We're going to head back to the apoapsis here. And once again, we are going to recharge our batteries a bit. This one should be... Actually, we're going to turn here. Yeah, that's slightly sad, but we'll go ahead and extend this solar panel. Cool. So we've got some energy flow there. Blocked by heat shield. Can we not? Thank you. Oh, overshot? Overshot. There we go. Cool. And we're full on our power, so that's great. And let's bring this on around for our landing. And we're just fingers crossed that we're going to land on land. That is the plan here. We'll see. So we are going to land in darkness. That was something that was going to be a thing, basically the whole time. Unless I had warped further, which I didn't. Keep in mind, Eve rotated underneath us while we did that orbit. We're over the sea right now. So hopefully that means that once we get into the actual atmosphere here and really start slowing down, yeah, we're over Peak's impact ejecta right now. Okay. I think we're shooting a little further than in my simulation. But, ooh, that's very zoomed in. Okay, I didn't mean for that to get quite that zoomed in. Fingers crossed that we don't land in water. This should be, I think, our final landing. Actually, there might be one more pass. I didn't count the number of passes previously, and I was kind of distracted. People coming and going and such, but there might be another pass here. We'll see. At any rate, the number of passes is kind of irrelevant, right? Because all we really need is to land on land. That's what we need here. For this upper atmosphere stuff, it is fine to physics warp. It's only when we get down to somewhere more like here that I'm not super comfortable with physics warping. Okay. So we'll do that. I'm watching this number right now. Okay, this may well be our final approach. Yes, this is our final approach. Can confirm. So we're over peaks right now. That's a good sign. Peaks are high elevation. Very high elevation. Less good of a sign is the heat gauges, but I never had any issues with those in the simulation. So fingers crossed, but it should be fine. We're slowing down our horizontal speed quite dramatically now. Okay, not exceptionally dramatically, but somewhat dramatically. And yes, time to periapsis is increasing, so we are definitely not coming back up. This is guaranteed the final aerobrake pass. That's good. 3,200 meters per second right now, and dropping kinda slowly. Kinda slowly. We just switched over into camera flight mode instead of orbital mode. That is a big deal. And our periapsis is now on the ground, well, as of now. Cool. So we now see our impact time here, and it's dropping very quickly. It'll go back up soon enough as we continue to slow down. But for the moment, this will do just fine. We're at about 3 kilometers per second and flying over the highlands. I would definitely like to see this really start to drop. We're over Midlands, Lowlands, but if I recall correctly, this goes back up into Midlands. Yeah, there we go. Back up into Midlands. Because I was concerned about that in the previous simulation. Very concerned. But we're now at about 2,900 meters per second and dropping. And the atmosphere is really starting to thicken at this point. Okay, now we're over shallows. That's not necessarily great. Now we're over the sea. Hopefully we pass it. That did not happen in the simulation. But now we're back over shallows. So I think we're going back up in terms of land elevation. And we've still got a decent amount of horizontal speed here. We're still over shallows. I don't love this. I'm really hoping we hit lowlands here soon. 2.3 kilometers per second, and we're really starting to decelerate. Well, we may end up with a splashdown here. That would be really non-ideal. But I guess it would be fine, in theory. We don't need to have any of this equipment on here, right? There's no, like, major contracts for that. Oh, Highlands. Okay, cool. We're really slowing down now. So it looks like we're going to hit Highlands. That was lucky. No doubt about that. Cool. Drogues are deployable, and out go the drogues. Mains will be deployable shortly. There we go. So mains are now deployed. There they go. They were a little delayed due to our altitude, I think. And it's going to take us a while to drift down to the surface. There's no doubt about that one. Can we quick save at this point? Yes, we can. Beautiful. So we can quick save and physics warp, and we can revert back to this quick save if we have any Krakens build up. So let's see what that looks like. I don't love what these guys are doing. Okay, those are Krakens. We should revert it. Cool. So that's a Kraken. That is not something that will happen if we do not have the physics warp going. We might be able to get away with a 2x warp and make it go just a little faster that way. But it's going to take a while for this to drift down to the ground. No doubt about that. Okay, so let's try a 2x warp. It's a lot safer than a 4x warp while still having the amount of time this is going to take to get to the ground here. But if we look at our radar altitude, yeah, we're 29 kilometers up. We're falling at 200 meters per second, sure. So it takes like 5 seconds per kilometer. It's still going to be a while, so 2x physics warp is fine here. We do not jettison this heat shield until our parachutes deploy. That's the way this works. These heat shields we do not jettison in the air. This heat shield we do not jettison at all. This is an umbrella to give us shade. Fantastic. We can grab a crew report from Flying High. It requires a hitchhiker storage container to be manned. Okay, let's have Palo swap over to there. So let's, where is Palo? You should be up here, right? Yeah, transfer crew. Cool. Requires a hitchhiker storage container to be manned. Right, so we'll transfer into one of these. Not that one. I forget which one it was again. I don't know why it has to be from one of these particular locations. It's very strange. There we go. That one works. Cool. So we're now falling at about 80 meters per second, and we're 9 kilometers up. Beautiful. We're now 8 kilometers up, falling at 70 meters per second. 7 kilometers up. Cool. So things are very dark, right? No doubt about that. But look at that. There's things down here. We're seeing this for the first time. Beautiful. So, that's all well and good. We don't really know what's going on down here yet, of course. We can see we're going to land about here. We're now 3 kilometers up. And let's, tumble around for some reason? Okay. This is unusual. Hopefully our chutes deploying will get that tumble under control. That's just our drogues. SAS is off. It does seem to be getting under control. I think. We're now about 1,900 meters above the surface. Our mains will deploy eventually, and awkwardness is ensuing with the stuff down here. No doubt about that. I'm glad to see that we're going to be landing here and not, say, here. Okay. Our mains will deploy soon. I'm really hoping that that pulls us around. And gets this tumble under control. So mains will be deploying now. And let's just try to point retrograde here. Yes. Beautiful. Now we ditch this guy. And away he goes. Then we're going to try to extend out all of these guys as much as possible because we're going to be basically sitting on them, right? So we're just going to do this. We're basically using these as landing legs at this point. I may actually not even jettison them. Cool. And there goes our heat shield. This bubble is fast approaching. Cool. I'm now going to quick save again. And we're going to go up to 2x time warp. Hello, bubble. Okay, that was our heat shield impacting the terrain there. But it looks like we're coming down on relatively flat terrain. This looks great. Coming down at about 8 meters per second is a little bit faster than I would like to see. But we'll see how that goes. If we lose a few parts down here, that's fine. I'm also going to extend out these wheels to try to cushion our impact a little bit. Cool. That actually worked really well. So we'll turn the SAS off there. And this is all good. So from here, we could try to deploy this the normal way. But I don't think we're going to. Contract parameter complete to touch down on Eve. Now we still need to splash down on Eve. That'll have to be a different flight. But that's fine. We've landed on the surface of Eve. And we have extracted ore from Gilly and delivered it to Eve as well. So that's all great. If we were hypothetically to turn these, could we reach? Not that we really need to right now, right? But it's a hypothetical question. I'd be a little surprised if this reached. Yeah, I don't think so. So we're currently using our heat shields as landing legs, but they're actually giving us quite a lot of stability, and I think this is fine. I don't think we have an issue with this at all. We could theoretically ditch these landing legs, and we're at a bit of a jaunty angle, but I mean, it's completely okay. So let's go ahead and begin researching in our science lab. We're going to extend out our solar panels, and that should be more than fine. The solar panels should, I think, get vision and not be too concerned about this heat shield. I think they'll have the reach for that. Of course, we're on the night side right now, so we're going to lose electric charge at some point, but that's completely fine. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here. It's time to put an end to this particular mission. I'm not even going to unfold these and deploy them the normal way. I think this is fine as is. It's good. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, Mlohan80, Kentogan, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Unisol, Kadra, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.